go.
Yeah?
Yeah. Go.
Welcome. It's February 20th, 2025. It's with my pleasure and honor to be sitting with a true World War II veteran, Mr. John J. Jeckovich. How are you doing today, Mr.?
Good.
You're looking well.
Everybody says I'm not eating.
Well, and during World War II, the legal documents state that you're 87 pounds, and now recently you're 151, so you have a lot of catching up to do.
When was 87?
You were 187 in 1942 in World War II.
Yeah, well, I was eating like a pig in the army, yeah. Yeah. That was good army food.
Did you like the Army food?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was out in the field with cold weather,
yeah.
eating in the snow and everything else. I don't know what these people worry about me.
Well, you're looking well. You're looking well. Yeah, the cold weather. Mr. Jeckovich is referring to one of the bloodiest battles in Ardennes Forest as the Battle of the Bulge. And during that time, the wind chill factor was 40 to 50 below, the coldest winter of record in Germany. And these young boys, teenagers, combat veterans, combat soldiers, you didn't have the proper
I
attire.
didn't have proper clothes, no.
Their coat was like a thin cotton.
And wore the buckled shoes like I did in school,
Galoshes.
with the buckles on them.
As to this date, 80 years later, Mr. Jeckovich still suffers the symptoms of frostbite.
I had that last night, I still got it.
An interesting fact, we've learned a lot of things from World War II. One of the things we learned from World War II is about frostbite. Frostbite can be possibly fatal and highly dangerous. You could lose a nose, a finger, an ear, a foot, a leg. But we learned from World War II that for a lot of people skiing today, there's cold weather all throughout the United States today. Say if you're out snow skiing and you think you're catching frostbite, many people would say, run indoors in front of the fireplace. But no, worst thing to do. We learned from World War II, you make yourself a make yourself a snowball and rub it on that area which you think you has frostbite, and it'll get the blood circulating. There's so many things that we learned from World War II. It's absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Before I start reading your book, it's titled Their Mother's Son. This is the second day of celebration for a beautiful young girl in her 20s, Amber Nicole Jeckovich.
Yeah.
What do you say? Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah.
Her second day of celebration, she has one more. She's in her 20s, and what a fine young lady, so humble, so humble. And she visits Mr. Jeckovich 3 or 4 times a week, and she's just a great person. It restores your faith in young people. You know, Amber, her life is based on Christ. She's there to serve Christ, and she's Christocentric and extremely humble. She's at the second day of celebrations given by her friends. She's traveled around the world surfing, around the world preaching the Bible. It goes hand in hand. Left hand Bible, right hand surfboard. Unfortunately, she'll be going to Australia for a month or two for the summers now in Australia. The weather's a little bit cold in Florida. So we wish Amber the best of luck, and we wish her happy birthday. She's a great, great young lady. Anything else you have to say about Amber?
No, she's good. She's good, yeah.
Damn right she's good. Okay. I got questions to ask you, but let's just get a few pages of your book under our belt. But before I can read the book, I'll need the passcode to open up the laptop.
421-965.
And by the way, that's Mr. Jeckovich's dog tag number.
421-965.
Yeah. Times have changed so greatly, say in the last 30 years, and I was just thinking about when Mr. Jeckovich would get on an airplane, of course the alarms would go off with a metal detector, because he's got shrapnel still in his body, and that sets off the metal detector. But another thing I was thinking about, when Mr. Jeckovich would travel on a plane, what did you put on your suitcase in big letters?
I put my serial number on
Or
it.
social security number?
Yeah.
Could
Couldn't
you
do that today.
Could you imagine today writing your social security number on your luggage? Wow. By the time you got to your end destination, your bank accounts would probably be drained.
Yeah.
Your identity would be stolen. Couldn't do that today, you're right. Just like the beautiful laundromats Mr. Jeckovich had back in the day, how were the people back then, how they treat your laundromats?
They would taste really good. They were different. It was a different culture. I never do that today. Never.
You had no worries.
No.
And then how would you think about opening a laundromat today?
I wouldn't never think about it.
Never do it.
Never do it.
Wow.
They'd be tearing it apart, just to tear it apart.
Yeah.
They would try to pull them out and change it off the wall.
Yeah. So times are different. Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100. He was born in 1925. This year he'll be 100 years old. 100 years old. When Mr. Jeckovich was born, gasoline was 7 cents a gallon. You could fill up your big monster car for like $1.50. Prices of a nice house were a couple thousand. Prices of a nice brand new car was like $500. So, and Mr. Jeckovich was actually born, and he lived through the Great Depression. How did that go?
I never noticed it.
Never noticed it.
No.
You never realized you
No.
had any problems whatsoever.
Because Easter time we had a brand new coat, jet, so we did everything else.
So you ran right through it with no trouble.
No problem.
Isn't that amazing? Wow. Mr. Jeckovich was in Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich is a highly decorated World War II combat veteran. There's only approximately 6,000 combat veterans left of World War II, and we're losing them at a rate of 150 combat veterans per day. So do the math. Look on your TV screen. Here's the man. His mind is like a library. Ask him any questions. Mr. Jeckovich answers all his text messages, and many times he'll call you back or you can call him. This number is 407-366-0000. 407-366-0000. So ask Mr. Jeckovich any question that you like, and he'll be glad to answer it. There was many talk a couple weeks ago about kamikaze pilots. What could you tell us on that?
What's that?
Kamikaze pilots.
Kamikaze pilots.
That bombed Pearl Harbor December 7th.
No, that was a ritual with them.
And that's what brought us into the war, was kamikaze pilots.
Yeah.
Bombing our ships in Pearl Harbor December 7th, 1941. Prior to the ships being blown up in 41 of December 7th, we were on a Lend-Lease program with Europe. We'd supply Europe lots of money and lots of equipment to fight the war. But once we got attacked on December 7th, 1941, Canada jumped in on that date, and we jumped into the next date.
Yeah.
If it wasn't of the bombing at Pearl Harbor, we probably would have stayed low.
Yeah.
We stayed low. But people were interested in the kamikaze pilots, and I had some information that Mr. Jeckovich wrote some time ago. That was mainly on the Pacific, correct?
Yeah. I mean in the Pacific, yeah.
Kamikaze, Mr. Jeckovich states, another famous feature of World War II was a Japanese technique of kamikaze, which has been translated into the divine wind. The divine wind It was a word for the typhoons that killed Mongolian invaders of Japan in 1274. But now it has entered into public consciousness as the name for pilots who carried out suicide attacks. It's funny, on the Pacific theater, some of the Japanese soldiers did not believe the war was over until the mid-1970s. They hid out in tunnels and they were always on guard.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. It was also sometimes used to refer to other Japanese suicide missions, like the ones in submarines and speedboats. Also, they did suicide missions with ramming your speedboat into your boat or submarines that would blow up.
Yeah.
In Japanese, the formal names of these attacks, which means the Special Attack Unit. The word kamikaze was only used in an informal press release in Japan, but it caught the world's attention. And the modern world of kamikaze mission is a slang of any kind of activity that is dangerous to the point of practically being suicide. So even after World War II, we got that word that we're using now, kamikaze.
Yeah.
We still use it for various things. Okay, but it was very interesting how the kamikaze planes were. They were very crude. They were built very crudely. The kamikaze aircraft were like a combination of an airplane and a missile, a giant airborne explosion, but one that had to be guided by an actual living human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, practically everyone who flew the kamikaze aircraft died. Everyone died in the explosion when it hit its target. But it was meant to be more accurate and able to carry more explosives than the traditional attack. So it seemed it was worth the loss of life. But here's an interesting part. All those bombs, which were just crude small planes with heavily dynamite, major bombs inside, they were supposed to go right for their target. But here's what the story is. Many of those pilots lost their life. And sadly,
17 minutes.
Sadly, for these unfortunate pilots, only 11% of all kamikaze attacks were successful. 11%, holy God. Even though the planes were easier to guide than traditional missiles, they were still very hard to navigate, and most missed their mark. Wow, most missed their mark. So let me just get a couple pages of this book under our belt, and then we'll go to the questions. The book is big, but we're getting to the end. How many pages?
849.
849, we're on 831, so I hope that second book you're writing, you can give me a couple chapters, because I'm running out of room. I'm running out of room. This is the part where Mr. Jeckovich closed down the store, and he's doing different things in his life, and his children have all grown up, and they're gone, and Mr. Jeckovich is with his wife of 69 years, Delphine Stulak Jeckovich, and his mother, Anna Targis Jeckovich. Let's see. Let me see where I left off. Our economy also suffered a slowdown in growth and risk of income equality. Wow. Among other problems, we're faced with a nuclear attack from Korea and Vietnam during that time, right?
Yeah.
And segregated, discriminatory society that tolerated individually in behavior. It was an era which we laid groundwork for the decline of our cities and our small towns, the deterioration of the environment, and the excessive energy that was used to come on later. So that's so true, because prior, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, Niagara Falls, New York was a very bright, vibrant town. Businesses everywhere. Beautiful streets, beautiful stores. Basically,
Not as good as Canada.
yeah, basically beautiful people. But then, where Mr. Jeckovich had his laundromat, this is where the decline began. Where Mr. Jeckovich had his laundromat, the fertile mind of the Niagara Falls politicians decided we're going to bulldoze down 200 beautiful freestanding stores in close to Niagara Falls, close to the falls itself. We're going to bulldoze down 200 beautiful mom and pop stores, primarily owned by Polish and Italian immigrants, right?
Yeah.
And what did you have? A nice laundromat there.
Yeah.
And what was the name of the laundromat?
Duplex dry wash.
So in their fertile minds, the great minds of these politicians, we say this sarcastically, of course, they bulldozed all these people to put every one of these families out of business, a nice living they were making, with all types of businesses, all types. They bulldozed them down, and what did they put in its place?
It's the convention center.
Aha! How'd the convention center go?
Lousy, didn't make out.
It went down.
Yeah,
It was a
broke
big
down,
white
yeah.
elephant, so we took out 200 small mom and pop businesses for a convention center that a few people on top got rich during its construction, and then it folded up. So that was the beginning of the decline of Niagara Falls, New York. At that time, the city, it was a city, it had a population of about 60,000. The decline came in rapidly. Now, in 2025, it's no longer a city, it's classified as a
County.
village.
Village.
It has less than 11,000 people. And what does it look like around it?
Run down.
Ghetto.
Yeah.
Ghetto. You need a gun or a shotgun to go out at night. It's so bad. It's crime ridden. We just heard on the news the other day, there was called a Red House, they named it, on Highland Avenue, where there was just murders and drug use, and every other street, every other house on Highland Avenue was a problem. It was massive corruption, and now it's down to a village, and it's totally disgusting. If you look across the street, I say the street because the street is entering Niagara Falls, Ontario. How does that look?
Good, very good.
It looks like Disney. It's so clean and proper and thriving. Tourists everywhere. Souvenir stores everywhere. Museums everywhere. Beautiful things for someone to do. Beautiful five-star hotels. Beautiful floral gardens. Everything's first class. And that's only a mile from the ghettos of Niagara Falls, New York. Shows you what one politician would do in another and how it turned out.
Yeah, the mafia was running it.
Well, that's correct. The mafia was running Niagara Falls, New York, and everyone had their brush with the mafia. Mr. Jeckovich had many businesses in Niagara Falls, and he snowplowed for a lot of funeral homes. What funeral home did you snowplow for recently?
Magadito.
Stefano Magadino, Google it. That was Mr. Jeckovich's, one of his best customers, and he was the head of the La Cosa Nostra from Toronto all the way over to New York City. It was a big operation, and he was based out of his funeral home in Niagara Falls, New York. An interesting fact, Stefano Magadino, the head of all the mafia, never spent one day in prison. He had everyone, or jail. He had everyone on his payroll. He had everyone on his payroll, and everyone looked the other way. Mr. Jeckovich has an interesting story. When he was snowplowing Stefano's funeral home, some 4 or 5 big burly guys in suits and ties with red aprons wrapped around their neck said, "Come in, John, for breakfast." Tell us.
Yeah, I said, I'm busy. I gotta finish this job up.
And they pretty much insisted.
Yeah.
You come in for breakfast. And what was the spaghetti? The breakfast, spaghetti and meatballs?
Yeah.
So Mr. Jeckovich, being friendly, came in for breakfast, spaghetti and meatballs at 10 in the morning. And what Mr. Jeckovich seen was a big, long mahogany table, pictures of Jesus Christ on every wall, crucifixes, what else?
Yeah.
Rosaries.
Yeah.
Every Catholic religious symbol you could find. And Stefano, of course, was at the head of the table with his back to the wall.
10 minutes.
with his back to the wall. Mr. Jeckovich is sitting amongst these big burly guys with suits and aprons on, eating spaghetti. And surprisingly, what took place? What took place?
Oh, some guy got hit, the guy sitting there got hit with a baseball bat.
Right next to you.
Yeah.
So apparently he said something wrong to the boss, and another guy popped him in the head with a baseball bat.
Yeah, well, that was something going on before, too, with those two guys, yeah.
How hard did he hit him?
He hit him pretty hard. I think he broke his neck.
Wow, did you think to yourself, if I screwed up this snowplow job, what might happen to
What
me?
the hell made it happen to me, yeah.
Yeah. So that was your breakfast, right?
Yeah.
Did you ever go in for breakfast again?
No, I tried to abort him.
And the story continues. When Mr. Jeckovich's first grandson was born in June 5th of 1974, Stefano Magadino was in the same hospital 2 floors up dying. What an interesting fact. John Jeckovich's first grandson's being born and Stefano is dying. What did you say about that?
One's going, one's coming in.
You have a great sense of humor. You really do. You really do have a great sense of humor. Oh my God. So that must have been something to see.
You gotta watch what you say to those people.
They have tempers.
Yeah.
I know that Stefano was even keeled, but his son Peter was a hothead.
Well, he picked it up in the family, yeah.
He was a hothead. But as it turned out, he passed away shortly after Mr. Jeckovich's grandson was being born, never spent a day in jail, and the Magadino Funeral Home closed down. Closed down. And then the FBI raided it, and they knocked down some of the walls, and what was in all the walls?
Inside?
The walls. What did he have stuff inside the walls?
Money and bodies and everything else.
Money, 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 money. And every one of the walls was sealed like it was a regular wall. And how the Magadinos disposed of their enemies was when they're having a legitimate funeral, they would take the person that they killed that they didn't like, put it first level of the coffin, and then when they buried it, they put the legitimate corpse on top and buried it. So 99% of the time, his enemies were never found.
Yeah.
Because they were buried on below another casket. So a lot of that is what destroyed Niagara Falls. They always had their hand out.
Yeah.
And there was lots of them. There just wasn't him. There was lots of them. And an interesting fact, Mr. John J. Jeckovich's mother, Anna Targus Jeckovich, was a devout, practicing Roman Catholic, and she would go to Our Lady of the Rosary's church. And at that time, the priest there was Monsignor Stanley Ormsby.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
And describe Mr. Stanley Ormsby's living arrangement.
He lived like a prince.
Tell us how it was.
He had a house, well, 2 doors down, 2 blocks down was the nuns, and they lived like peons.
When you used to bring food to the nuns during Christmas or Thanksgiving, what was it like inside their residence?
You could smell the smell of the cellar, and they'd be they were all young. They were all young.
And
real
happy.
smiling, real condescending, thankful for all the food.
And what type of workers did Monsignor Stanley Ormsby have?
I had a big house there, had a bookkeeper, had a cook,
Driver?
had a stenographer, and rode a big black Cadillac.
That's a good point. Every year, Stefano Magadino, there was a 4-car garage at the Our Lady of the Rosary Church, and in that 4-car garage was 2 cars. Every year, there was a brand new Cadillac, and next to it, in the second bay, there was a brand new black Lincoln.
Yeah.
Gifts of Stefano Magadino.
Yeah.
Wow. So you had some pretty interesting snow plowing experiences.
Yeah.
Wow, you sure did. You sure did. Minutes, please. Do you want me to read some of the book or get to the questions?
Go ahead, that's good.
Questions or book?
Yeah.
Questions or book? You want me to read?
Give the book, yeah.
Okay, let me go to my
Just
ledger.
under 5.
Let me go to my ledger. I mean, there's some of them are off the wall because you're coming in from people around the world. So you just have to go with it. Mr. Jeckovich, I see you have new shoes on every time you're on TV. How many pairs of shoes you actually own?
I own two, one minute, I have one of these shoes for 2 years now. I got two
Okay,
pair
well,
of shoes.
It's, okay, maybe I'm looking at it wrong because I see you wearing a lot of shoes. What, Mr. Jeckovich, when you used to watch TV, what was your favorite TV show?
TV show was probably Lights Out.
Lights Out? Mr. Jeckovich, you're in World War II when you're shot in the shoulder by a sniper. And you hit the ground and was all white because it was plenty of snow. And you left a big white, left a big white trail of blood.
Yeah.
And how did you get out of that situation?
Well, there was a nurse, 22 Army nurse, pulled me off the Johnny. I grabbed a hold of it. And the sniper was shooting at us, shooting at me.
Still shooting at
She ran out there and dragged me back into the 8 house.
To this date, Mr. Jeckovich, does the sight of blood make you queasy?
No.
Okay. But you did mention on chapter 2 of your book, one of your great friends that was, he was a lieutenant or something like that. He was on patrol and he got shot by a sniper. Who was that? He got shot by a sniper. He was on patrol. He was like a sergeant or a lieutenant or something. He got shot right in the beginning of the war. He got shot by a sniper.
Well, the guy was in the third story bedroom window when he shot him, yeah.
And then what did you see him from the window and what did you shoot back at him?
I shot half the wall off.
Shot the wall off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big bloody war. You know. Well, it's a big bloody war. Mr. Jeckovich, do you prefer flowers or plants?
What?
Do you prefer flowers or plants? Flowers or plants?
Flowers or plants?
Yeah. You like to have like a planting in a garden or you just like to have flowers?
Plants, you mean vegetables?
Yeah.
Yeah, plants, yeah, vegetables, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jeckovich, what kind of driver are you?
I'm a good driver. I was a good driver. I don't drive anymore.
Your license is still current,
Oh, yeah, but I don't drive.
and your wife has 2 years left on her license.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So that's good. You have a perfect record, by the way. Mr. Jeckovich, you like to meet new people?
Yeah. Well, certain people,
Okay.
yeah. Selective people, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Jeckovich, are you good at guessing?
Guessing?
Guessing. Like I could guess at 50% of the time, I could guess at 100% of the time.
You mean,
Just a guess on any general subject.
no.
Are you good to guess? Are you a good guesser?
Well, I don't think I use it much. I just find out what I got to go do it, and I do it.
Okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds.
36 seconds.
We got another one in the books. What do
Right.
you want to do now?
I watch Trump now.
Okay. So you're feeling pretty good today.
Yeah.
Well, close it out. Tell Amber happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
All right.
Happy birthday. How old are you?
She's in her 20s. We'll leave it. Amber's in her 20s. We'll
We
leave
don't
it.
tell ladies' ages.
Amber is in her 20s. What's the minutes?
13
Yeah.
seconds.
Well, happy birthday, Amber.
Happy birthday, Amber.
Second day of
Amber,
celebration, one
yeah,
more
yeah.
tomorrow, then you
Yeah.
get back to surfing, I guess.
All right, let's put on Trump.
Okay, let's